All right, back again for another deep dive with me. Ready to unearth some wisdom, some real knowledge nuggets.
Always ready.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the Dharma Collection.
Perfect. So we've been making our way through this incredible collection of Buddhist teachings. And today we're looking at Dharmas 81 through 100.
Okay.
And get this, they're all about lists.
Lists, huh?
Yeah. Imagine, right, trying to wrap your head around the vastness of, like, Buddhist thought.
Yeah.
These lists, it's like they're mental maps, giving us structure, helping us navigate these, like, really complex ideas.
I like that. Mental maps.
Yeah. We've got a couple of sections from the Dharma Collection document to guide us, so buckle up.
Sounds like homeland.
Okay, so Dharma 81, this one's called the Four Factors of Faith.
Okay.
And it lists noble truths, 3 jewels, deeds, and then deeds and fruit. It's got me thinking.
Yeah.
Faith, in this context, it feels like it's less about blind belief and more about, like, a deep understanding.
You're hitting the nail on the head. Think of it like building a house, right?
Okay, yeah.
The noble truths and the 3 jewels, they're the foundation.
Right, right.
The core principles of Buddhism. Then you've got the deeds. Those are the actions we take based on that foundation. And then finally, deeds and fruit reminds us our actions have consequences. Just like if you build a house on a shaky foundation, it's not going to last.
Cause and effect, karma in action.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, you reap what you sow. So, you know, it's not enough to just get the teachings. You have to actually live them.
Absolutely. Aligning your actions with your understanding, that's key.
I like that. All right, Dharma 82. This one takes us to the mental training zone. It's called the 9 Succeeding Attainments of Concentration.
9 levels.
9 levels. That's serious mental workout. And I'm picturing it like, you know, like leveling up in a video game.
Okay, yeah.
But instead of getting new powers, you're like refining your mind.
I love that analogy because it really captures that progressive nature of these attainments. We begin with the 4 absorptions, which are states of deep meditative absorption where you can still experience those subtle thoughts, sensations. Then you've got the 4 formless attainments. This is where you transcend form, even perception itself.
Okay.
And then the peak, the attainment of cessation. Imagine training your mind to reach a level where thoughts completely stop, like a perfectly still lake reflecting the sky. That's the power of this final attainment.
Wow, that sounds incredibly peaceful.
Yeah.
Talk about achieving a state of Zen.
Okay.
Okay, Dharmas 83 and 84. These get pretty interesting. They describe the physical characteristics of an enlightened being.
Oh, okay.
Wheels on palms, antelope-like calves, a lion's jaw. It's like something straight out of, you know, like a mythical creature feature film.
It's easy to get caught up in those descriptions, but remember, these are symbolic representations of inner qualities.
Okay.
The 32 marks of a great man and the 80 secondary characteristics, they're meant to convey the radiance and majesty of an enlightened being, not to be taken literally.
So it's about seeing the inner qualities reflected in the outer appearance.
Right.
So instead of literally having wheels on your palms, it's about having the wisdom and compassion to set the wheel of Dharma in motion.
Precisely. It's a poetic way of expressing that transformative power of enlightenment.
I get it. It's like how we use metaphors in everyday language to convey deeper meanings. Okay, so from enlightened beings, we shift to powerful rulers with Dharma 85. This one is the 7 Jewels of Universal Monarchs.
Oh, interesting.
We've got a wheel jewel, a horse jewel, an elephant jewel. It feels like a treasure chest just waiting to be unlocked.
It is. Each jewel represents a quality that's essential for just and effective leadership. So the wheel jewel symbolizes dominion, the ability to move freely.
Okay.
The horse jewel represents speed and strength, allows a leader to act swiftly and decisively. The elephant jewel signifies power, stability, essential for grounding a kingdom.
It's like a leadership cheat sheet for ancient rulers. I'm sensing a pattern here. These lists, they're all about distilling those complex ideas into a set of core principles. All right, buckle up. Dharmas 86, 87, and 88. They're going to take us on a mind-bending journey through how Buddhists view time itself. We've got the 3 times, the 4 eons, and the 4 ages. Are we about the time travel?
In a way, yes. These dharmas, they delve into Buddhist cosmology, exploring the cyclical nature of time and existence. So instead of thinking about time as a straight line,
Okay.
imagine the universe breathing in and out, expanding and contracting over vast cycles of creation and destruction.
Wow.
That's what the four eons are all about. And then within those cycles, you've got the four ages. They represent different epochs, each with its own unique characteristics and lifespans.
Okay, so it's like zooming out to see the grand timeline of existence. I'm already feeling a little dizzy.
It's a lot to take in, but that core idea is that time, from a Buddhist perspective, it's not linear, but cyclical. It's constantly evolving, transforming.
That's definitely a shift from our usual way of thinking about time. Dharma 89 brings us back down to earth. It's called a pair of worlds, the world of beings and the inanimate world. Sounds pretty simple, right?
Simple on the surface, but it highlights a profound insight, that interconnectedness of all things. It's saying both sentient beings, those with consciousness like us, and non-sentient elements like mountains and rivers. They're all essential parts of the fabric of reality.
Two sides of the same coin, both contributing to this intricate tapestry of existence.
I like that.
And speaking of variety, Dharma 90 gets a bit more specific with the four wombs.
Four wombs.
Yeah, we've got egg-born, moisture-born, viviparous, and spontaneously born. It's like a biology lesson mixed with mythology.
It's fascinating. It's an exploration of the diversity of life forms and how they come into being.
Yeah.
A reminder that existence takes on countless forms, each arising in its own unique way.
Okay, so we've covered faith, mental training, enlightened beings, leadership qualities, nature of time, and the diversity of life. I'm ready for the next layer of this intricate Dharma cake. Where do we go from here?
Let's dive into the personal realm. With Dharmas 91 and 92, we're going to explore the 5 stains and the 3 comprehensions. We'll uncover the obstacles that hinder our spiritual progress and the powerful insights that can illuminate the path to liberation.
Obstacles and insights. Sounds intriguing. This is where it gets really interesting, and I can't wait to unpack it all with you after a quick break. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, deep divers. Ready to explore the more personal side of the Dharma Collection.
Absolutely. Let's get personal.
Remember those 5 stains and 3 comprehensions we touched on?
Yeah.
They offer valuable insights into those challenges and triumphs on the path to, spiritual growth.
Okay. I'm all ears.
Yeah.
Let's start with the 5 stains. The word stain kind of makes me think of something that's hindering or blocking something else.
That's a great way to think about it. Imagine trying to see clearly through a stained glass window.
Okay.
The colors might be beautiful, but that view, it's distorted.
Right.
Similarly, the 5 stains represent those aspects of our being that kind of cloud our perception and keep us stuck in these cycles of suffering.
So they're like internal roadblocks, preventing us from seeing reality clearly and reaching our full potential.
Precisely.
What are these stains exactly, and how do they affect us?
Okay, so the first stain is the stain of defilements. These are those negative mental states that we all struggle with: greed, hatred, delusion. They distort our view of reality, and they lead to actions that cause harm to ourselves and others.
Those are some powerful forces to contend with. It makes me think about how often we get caught up in our own desires and versions, not realizing how they're shaping our experience.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's the next stain?
The second stain, it's the stain of views. It's all about clinging to those rigid beliefs and ideologies, like wearing blinders that prevent us from seeing the world with an open mind.
So being willing to question our assumptions and consider different perspectives.
Exactly. Now, the third stain, this one's called the stain on beings. Might sound a bit abstract, but it points to the limitations inherent in being a, sentient being. We're subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. Realities that we often try to ignore or deny.
It's a reminder of that impermanent nature of our existence, which could be tough to accept sometimes.
Absolutely. The fourth stain is the stain of age. Highlights that physical and mental decline that comes with aging.
Yeah.
While aging is a natural part of life, it can present challenges to our spiritual practice. Makes it more difficult to maintain the energy and focus we need.
I could see how that would be a significant obstacle.
Right. And finally, the fifth stain. This one might seem a little counterintuitive. It's called the stain of practice.
What's the end of practice?
Yeah. You would think our spiritual practices should be helping us, right?
Right.
But this stain, it refers to the danger of becoming attached to the rituals and forms of our practice, losing sight of that true goal liberation.
That's an interesting point. It's like getting so caught up in following the recipe, we forget to enjoy the meal.
Exactly. It's a reminder to stay focused on the essence of the teachings, not just those outer forms. Okay, let's shift gears now and explore the three comprehensions, insights that can illuminate the path to liberation.
Okay, I'm ready for some elimination. After facing those stains, I could definitely use some positive insights.
The first comprehension is the comprehension of the beginning time.
Okay,
Now, this doesn't mean figuring out when the universe began, okay?
right.
It's about grasping that concept that existence is beginningless, without an ultimate starting point.
Whoa, that's a mind-bending concept.
It is. The second comprehension is the comprehension of the end time.
Okay,
It points to the possibility of achieving complete liberation from the cycle of rebirth, the ultimate cessation of suffering.
so recognizing that potential for true freedom, the end of suffering.
Exactly. And lastly, the comprehension of the time having four destroyers. This one reminds us of the impermanent nature of all things. It's about understanding that those four elements, earth, water, fire, and wind, they're constantly breaking down, transforming all phenomena, including our own bodies.
A powerful reminder that everything is in a constant state of flux. Nothing stays the same.
Exactly. These three comprehensions, when deeply understood, can free us from clinging to fixed views and help us embrace that ever-changing nature of reality.
It's like gaining a new perspective on life, seeing the world through a different lens. Okay, now I'm curious about Dharmas 93 and 94. They seem to delve into the realms of knowledge and wisdom.
You're right. Dharma 93 lays out the 10 knowledges, a comprehensive set of understandings that can be cultivated through practice, leading to a profound understanding of ourselves and the world.
10. That sounds like a lot of knowledge to absorb. Can you give us a taste of what these knowledges are about?
Of course. The first four correspond to the Four Noble Truths. So you have the knowledge of suffering, the knowledge of arising, the knowledge of cessation, and the knowledge of the path. These deepen our understanding of suffering, its causes, the possibility of ending it, and the path to liberation.
So it's like taking a deep dive into each of the Four Noble Truths.
Exactly. The remaining six explore various aspects of reality. You've got the knowledge of Dharma, understanding the Buddhist teachings, the knowledge of conformity, understanding the laws of karma and cause and effect, the knowledge of the concealed, allowing us to perceive hidden or subtle realities, the knowledge of others' minds, enabling us to understand the thoughts and feelings of others, the knowledge of destruction, recognizing the impermanence of all things, and finally, the knowledge of non-production, which leads to an understanding of emptiness, that lack of inherent self in all phenomena.
Wow. Mind-blowing range of knowledge. Cultivating these would certainly lead to a rich and multifaceted understanding of reality.
It would.
What about Dharma 94? What kind of wisdom does it offer?
Dharma 94 presents the 5 knowledges. These focus on specific types of wisdom that can be cultivated through practice.
Okay, 5 feels a bit more manageable than 10.
It does. The first is mirror-like knowledge. This type of wisdom reflects reality as it is without any distortion or judgment, like having a perfectly clear mirror that shows things exactly as they are.
So seeing things with clarity and objectivity, free from our own biases. What about the second type?
The second is knowledge of equality. Recognizes that interconnectedness of all beings. Seeing beyond the illusion of separateness, understanding that we're all part of the same web of life.
A powerful reminder of our shared humanity and the importance of compassion. What's next on the wisdom menu?
Next is knowledge of reflection. This allows us to discern those subtle differences between phenomena. It's like having a finely tuned microscope, that can perceive those minute details of reality.
Developing a keen eye for detail and appreciating the unique qualities of each thing. What about the fourth type of wisdom?
The fourth is knowledge of performance. Understands the skillful means to achieve specific goals, particularly that goal of liberation, like having the right tools and techniques to navigate that path to enlightenment.
Knowing the right path to take and having the skills to navigate it effectively. What about that final type of wisdom? This one sounds intriguing.
It is. It's called the knowledge of the very pure Dharma element. This refers to the profound wisdom that realizes the ultimate truth of emptiness, the ground of all existence.
Wow, that sounds incredibly profound. It seems like these 5 knowledges offer a path to a truly transformative understanding of reality.
They do. But remember, these knowledges aren't just abstract concepts to be memorized, right? They're meant to be cultivated through dedicated practice and direct experience. As we practice, these knowledges gradually transform our perception and lead to deeper wisdom.
It's like those knowledges are seeds that we plant and nurture, gradually blossoming into wisdom and understanding.
Beautifully put. Now let's move on to Dharma 95, which introduces a crucial concept in Buddhist thought, the two truths.
Okay, truth time. What are these two truths and why are they so important?
The two truths, conventional truth and ultimate truth.
Okay.
They provide a framework for understanding reality from two different perspectives.
Two perspectives on reality. Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's start with the conventional truth. What's that all about?
The conventional truth refers to our everyday experience of the world. It's the realm of names and forms, cause and effect, subject and object. Think of it as the world we perceive through our senses and interpret through our concepts.
So it's our common sense understanding of how things work, the world we interact with on a daily basis.
Exactly. It's a valid way of understanding reality within that realm of our everyday experience. But then there's another layer, a deeper level of understanding the ultimate truth.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into the depths. What's the ultimate truth all about?
The ultimate truth points to that underlying nature of reality, which is beyond our ordinary perception and conceptual frameworks. It's the realm of emptiness, the realization that all phenomena lack inherent self or substance.
Whoa, that sounds deep. So while the conventional truth is how we perceive things, the ultimate truth is the actual nature of those
You
things.
got it. It's a profound realization that comes through deep contemplation and insight, going beyond that surface level of appearances.
So how do these two truths work together? They seem like very different ways of understanding reality.
They are different, but they're not contradictory. The conventional truth is how we navigate the world, interact with others, make sense of our lives.
Right.
It's necessary for functioning in the world. But the ultimate truth points to that deeper reality, a more profound understanding that can liberate us from suffering.
So it's like the ultimate truth is the foundation upon which the conventional truth rests. They both have their place and purpose.
Precisely. Think of it this way. You see a wave on the ocean. That's the conventional truth. The wave is there. But the ultimate truth is that it's all just water, constantly changing, taking different forms. That wave, it's just a temporary manifestation of that underlying reality.
That's a great analogy. Helps me grasp how these two truths can coexist and even complement each other.
They do. Understanding the two truths is crucial for navigating that path to liberation. Allows us to engage with the world skillfully while also recognizing its ultimate nature.
It's like having a map that shows both the terrain and the underlying geology. We need both to truly understand the landscape.
Exactly. Now, let's shift our focus to Dharma 96, which offers guidance on cultivating the right mental qualities for spiritual growth and understanding.
Okay, I'm ready for some guidance. What qualities do we need to develop to truly grasp these profound teachings?
Dharma 96 presents the 16 marks of being receptive to knowledge. Think of them as qualities of mind that make us receptive to wisdom and understanding.
16 marks. That sounds like a pretty comprehensive checklist. What are some of these essential qualities?
The 16 marks are grouped into 4 sets of 4, each set corresponding to one of the 4 noble truths. They provide a detailed roadmap for cultivating the right mindset for each stage of the path.
So it's like we're zooming in on each noble truth and exploring the specific mental qualities needed to understand it deeply.
Precisely. Let's start with the first group of marks, which relates to the truth of suffering.
Okay, I'm ready to face the truth of suffering with these helpful marks as my guide. What's the first mark?
The first mark is being receptive to the Dharma knowledge of suffering. This is about being open to understanding the teachings on suffering, willing to acknowledge its presence in our lives and in the world.
It sounds like having an honest and open mind, not shying away from those difficult realities.
Yes. The second mark is the Dharma knowledge of suffering itself. This refers to actually understanding the teachings on suffering, having a clear grasp of its nature, its causes, and its various dimensions.
So not enough to just be open to the teachings. We need to actively study and contemplate them to develop a deep understanding.
Exactly. Now, the third mark is being receptive to the conformity knowledge of suffering. This means being open to seeing how the teachings on suffering apply to our own experience, recognizing how suffering manifests in our own lives.
So making that personal connection, seeing how the teachings are relevant to our own experiences.
Precisely. And the fourth mark is the conformity knowledge of suffering itself. This refers to actually seeing how those teachings on suffering apply to our own experience, recognizing those specific ways in which suffering arises in our lives.
It's like having that aha moment when we see the truth of the teachings reflected in our own experience.
Exactly. These 4 marks, they lay the foundation for understanding the truth of suffering and progressing towards liberation.
They're like the essential ingredients for developing wisdom about suffering. I'm assuming the other 3 groups of marks follow a similar pattern, each focusing on one of the remaining noble truths.
You're absolutely right. Each group of marks provides that roadmap for cultivating the right mental qualities to fully embrace and understand each of the Four Noble Truths.
I'm starting to see how these seemingly simple lists are actually incredibly rich and nuanced. Okay, I'm ready to dive into the remaining dharmas, the ones that break down each noble truth into its core components.
Let's do it. Dharmas 97 through 100, they offer a detailed and insightful exploration of the Four Noble Truths, taking us to the very heart of Buddhist teachings.
Okay, I'm ready for another deep dive. Let's start with Dharma 97, which explores the four aspects in the truth of suffering. What are these four aspects, and why are they so important?
These aspects highlight the different dimensions of suffering. They help us understand its pervasive nature and how it arises in our experience.
I'm ready to face the truth of suffering head-on. What's the first aspect?
The first aspect is suffering related to impermanence. This refers to the fact that everything is constantly changing, a reality that often leads to a sense of unease and dissatisfaction. We cling to things, wanting them to stay the same, but they inevitably change, causing us suffering.
That makes perfect sense. It's like trying to hold on to sand. The harder we grip, the more slips through our fingers. What's the second aspect?
Second aspect is suffering related to suffering itself, the direct experience of physical and mental pain. This one's pretty straightforward. We all know what it feels like to experience pain and discomfort.
Yeah, no need to elaborate on that one. We're all too familiar with those feelings. What about the third aspect?
The third aspect is suffering related to emptiness.
Emptiness.
Yeah. This refers to that realization that all phenomena, including ourselves, lack inherent self or substance. It can be a challenging concept to grasp, but ultimately it points to the path to liberation from suffering.
Whoa. So the realization that things are empty of inherent self can actually lead to freedom from suffering.
Exactly. Clinging to a fixed sense of self, a belief in a solid and independent me, is a major source of suffering. When we realize that sense of self is an illusion, we can start to loosen our grip on that clinging and experience a profound sense of freedom.
It sounds like a paradox. Realizing that we're empty of inherent self can actually lead to a feeling of fullness and liberation. What's the final aspect?
The final aspect is suffering related to no self.
Okay.
This is closely related to emptiness, refers to the understanding that there is no permanent, unchanging self or soul. This realization can be liberating because it helps us detach from the ego and its clinging to a false sense of self.
So Dharma 97 really unpacks the concept of suffering, reveals its many layers. Seems like understanding these aspects is essential for anyone seeking to end suffering. What about Dharma 98, the four states in the truth of arising? What are those states all about?
These states delve into the causes of suffering, focusing on how craving and attachment lead to rebirth and continued suffering. It's all about understanding the roots of our suffering.
Okay, let's get to the root of the matter. What's the first state in the truth of arising?
The first state is simply cause, that fundamental principle that everything arises from a cause and effect.
Classic cause and effect. I'm guessing the next state gets a bit more specific about how this principle applies to suffering.
You're right. The second state is arising itself. Specifically, the arising of suffering due to craving and attachment. This is where we see the connection between our desires and our suffering.
So it's saying that our craving for things, our attachment to certain outcomes, that's what leads to our suffering.
Exactly. It's not the things themselves that cause suffering, but our clinging to them.
Right.
What about the third state? Any guesses?
Well, if the second state is about the arising of suffering due to craving, maybe the third state is about the perpetuation of suffering, how it keeps coming back.
You're on the right track. The third state is birth. Not just physical birth, but also the birth of suffering within our experience. It's saying that because of our clinging and craving, suffering is constantly being reborn within us.
So even though we might experience temporary relief from suffering, it keeps coming back because the root cause, craving, is still present. What about that final state?
The final state is conditions. Refers to all the various internal and external factors that contribute to the arising of suffering.
Okay.
It's like a whole web of conditions, our thoughts, emotions, past experiences, social conditioning, you name it. They all play a role in creating and perpetuating suffering.
Wow, that's a complex interplay factors. So understanding these four states in the truth of arising helps us see how suffering is generated and maintained, gives us clues on how to break free from it.
Exactly. Now, let's shift our focus to Dharma 99, which offers a glimmer of hope, the four states in the truth of cessation.
Okay, after exploring the depths of suffering and its causes, I'm definitely ready for some good news. What can you tell us about the truth of cessation?
The truth of cessation, it describes the possibility of ending suffering, achieving liberation. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, the promise that freedom from suffering is attainable.
That's a beautiful and reassuring message. Let's dive into those four states. What's the first one?
The first state is cessation itself, the complete ending of suffering. It's the ultimate goal, that state of perfect peace and freedom.
Sounds like bliss. What's the second state?
The second state is peace, that inner tranquility and freedom that come with the cessation of suffering. It's the experience of true and lasting happiness, unconditioned by external circumstances.
That's the inner peace we all crave. What about the third state? What does it add to the picture?
The third state is performance, refers to the realization of the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. It's about understanding the steps we need to take, the practices we need to cultivate to achieve liberation.
So it's not just about the end goal, but also about the journey, the path that leads us there. What's that final state in the truth of cessation?
The final state is escape, the ultimate liberation from the cycle of rebirth and suffering. It's the culmination of the path, the state of complete and perfect freedom.
Wow, that's the ultimate goal. Now I'm eager to hear about Dharma 100, the four states and the truth of the path. If Dharma 99 is about the destination, this one must be about how to get there.
You're exactly right. These four states outline the path to liberation, those practical steps we can take to end suffering.
Okay, I'm ready to map out my route to liberation. What's the first step?
The first state is simply path, the Noble Eightfold Path. It outlines the right understanding, thought, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration.
Ah, the Eightfold Path, the classic roadmap to enlightenment, comprehensive and practical. What's the second state?
The second state is method, the skillful means used to cultivate the path and progress toward liberation. Think of it as the toolkit we need to navigate the path effectively.
So it's like having the right techniques and practices to cultivate those Eightfold Path qualities. What about the third state?
Third state is practice, that consistent effort and dedication needed to walk the path and realize its fruits. This one highlights the importance of commitment and perseverance. There are no shortcuts on the path to liberation. It takes real dedication and effort.
It makes me think of that saying, practice makes perfect. But in this case, it's not about achieving perfection, but rather about making progress on the path to freedom.
Exactly. It's about showing up every day and doing the work, even when it's challenging. What about the final state in the truth of the path? Any guesses?
Well, if the previous three states are about the path itself, the methods, and the practice, maybe the final state is about the ultimate outcome, reaching the destination.
You nailed it. The final state is leading out, the ultimate outcome of the path, which is complete liberation from suffering. It's the culmination of all our efforts, the realization of our full potential.
Wow, what an incredible journey. Dharmas 97 through 100 provides such a comprehensive breakdown of the Four Noble Truths.
They do. And remember, all of these lists, from Dharmas 81 through 100, they're meant to be frameworks for understanding, mental maps to help us navigate that vast, profound landscape of Buddhist teachings.
It's amazing how much depth and structure they provide. It's like each Dharma builds upon the previous one, creating this multi-layered tapestry of wisdom.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of the Dharma Collection. It offers such a systematic and insightful way to approach these profound teachings.
I feel like we've been on an incredible intellectual and spiritual adventure today, exploring those intricacies of Buddhist thought. What a journey.
It's been a pleasure diving deep into these teachings with you and our listeners. It's always rewarding to revisit those ancient wisdom traditions and see how they can illuminate our modern lives.
Absolutely. Okay, deep divers, I think we need a moment to process all this incredible knowledge. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to wrap up our Dharma Collection exploration. And we're back! Wow. My mind is buzzing after that deep dive into Dharmas 81 through 100. It's incredible how much we covered, from like the foundations of faith to those intricate Four Noble Truths.
It really shows you the Dharma Collection, how you can, spend so much time exploring just 20 dharmas, and we've still just scratched the surface.
I know, right? It's like each dharma, it opens up a whole new world, inviting us to explore further, deeper. Speaking of exploring further, any of the dharmas we discussed today, did one particularly resonate with you? One that you keep coming back to?
That's a good question. It's like choosing a favorite star.
Right.
In a vast constellation. They each shine bright. But if I had to pick one, Dharma 95, the two truths. It's such a fundamental concept. And, I find myself thinking about it a lot.
I see why. It's so helpful for reconciling our everyday experience with that deeper understanding of reality. It's like having two lenses,
Exactly.
the conventional and the ultimate.
And they're not contradictory. They
Right.
actually work together. So the conventional truth helps us, navigate the world. And the ultimate truth points to that deeper reality, which can free us from suffering.
Like a map showing both the details and the underlying structure. Need both to truly understand it. What about you? Any Dharma that stood out to you?
I keep thinking about Dharma 96, the 16 marks of being receptive to knowledge, those qualities. They're really inspiring, I think, like a blueprint for cultivating the right mental attitude for spiritual growth. Absolutely.
It's like the path to wisdom. It's not just knowledge, but about developing those qualities.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway from the entire Dharma collection, really.
Yeah.
The emphasis on wisdom and compassion. It's not enough to just intellectually understand the teachings.
Right.
You have to actually live them.
It's like those teachings are seeds.
Yeah.
Right? Planted in our hearts and minds. With care, they blossom into wisdom, compassion, and ultimately liberation.
Beautifully put. It speaks to the power of these teachings. Even though they were written centuries ago, they're still so relevant.
It's incredible. It's been such a journey exploring these dharmas with you. I feel like we've gotten a deeper appreciation for the structure and depth of Buddhist teachings. And hopefully our listeners feel that way too.
I hope so. It's always exciting to delve into these ancient traditions, and to see how they still resonate with us today.
Absolutely. It's been amazing. And for our listeners, this is just the start, really. There's a whole universe within the Dharma Collection. We'll be back to guide you through it, one Dharma at a time.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.
That's it for this deep dive. But keep seeking, keep learning, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.